Hey there, Board Game Maniacs, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Painting with a Maniac. And this is to go along with the theme month of Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. What you see before you is two B1 Battle Droid commanders, or leaders, and they have the leaders because into the instruction manual, the ones holding the binoculars is exactly that. They are the ones that are commanding the other squad of battle droids. So we're going to do two different alternative ways of painting these. You can see one is based out, and I already based the base with the sand, and then I primed it in white. The other one, I base it out with sand as well, but I primed it in Xandri dust. So that is the difference between the two, because I posted this onto our Board Game Maniacs Facebook page. I just did a little bit of spit there. Oh well. And when I posted on the Board Game Maniacs Facebook page, I asked people what ones they liked better, and people commented, people emailed me and private messaged me and everything, but pretty much what the consensus was is that the way we're painting the one primed in white looks more like for the animated version, and this one here that we primed in Xandri dust, the way we're painting it is for the movie. So either way, whatever one you want to paint it like is the way you're going to paint it, and that's it. So what we're going to do first off is we're going to show you what they look like separately to what we're painting with, and then we're just going to paint the one, and then we're going to paint the other one, and we're going to call it a day. So let's get busy. The first one we're going to paint is the one that is primed into the white. You know, we're going to be using primarily contrast paints for painting him, and a little bit of dry brushing too as well, not with contrast paints though. And obviously we're going to be doing the base. But I'll show you an example of one, and we're going to paint some details on it because he is the leader of the squad, and we're going to turning him to a B1 commander. There's what I did for that is I just looked online and I found image which explains all of the miniatures, as in they're painted in whatever insignia to prove that they're either a sergeant, a security guard, a commander, what have you. So this guy's going to be the commander. Now, here is what we're going to be achieving right here. I did a little bit of battle damage to this guy. He is a security guard, or a security B1 battle droid. Now, he's in red, but we're not going to be painting the red on him. We're going to be painting yellow and in a different type of style. But this guy was primarily done with the contrast paint and then dry brushing, and again, the base that we did too as well. So we are going to be achieving this specifically, except for the red, like I said. And we may do some battle damage too as well. I liked how these turned out. So this is the first one we're going to start off with. So let's get our paint set up, ready, and start doing it. First step we are going to do is we're going to be painting his blaster rifle that's on the side. And he don't have a backpack, he has an antenna here. Now, you can paint that black, the antenna, if you like, or you can paint it the same color as what we're painting the base, and that's what we're going to do, not the base, but the main body of the B1 Battle Droid. So we're going to paint that the same color. So the only thing black that we're going to be painting is going to be the blaster, the blaster rifle. And to do that, it's going to be the contrast paint Black Templar. And you have to make sure to shake this up as best as you can, because all the color will settle below it on the bottom, and you're not going to get the proper effect onto it. So I'm going to be using a small brush for this, as you can see. Let me get that in focus. There you go. And this brush is a 000, and it's from some company. I don't know. But anyhow, yeah. We're going to be painting that first. Maybe we can get them in focus that way better. Here we go. So you got to be careful you don't get this Black Templar onto anywhere else, because we'd have to reprime manually, as in without a rattle can, because I primed them in white with just the Army Painter white spray paint in a rattle can. So you just got to be careful of that. See here, see if I can get it a little bit more centered. And I'm not kind of overly saturating my brush, because that can create runoffs, and then we will be getting it onto his armor, and that's not good. It's not good for business. No. just like this. So hope you're enjoying the theme month here for Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. I am super excited to get to this. I've purchased the first expansion, or not first expansion, the first game, like when it was released for the very first time at Adepticon, and I can't remember what year that was, maybe 2 years ago. But I never really did anything else to it. I didn't assemble it, I didn't do anything. I just kind of left it on the shelf because other things I had to get done. And then I eventually got to it and I painted it up and got all excited. And then they came out with this expansion, or this core, which is one with Obi-Wan and General Grievous. So that was like even more exciting for me. So I grabbed that too as well. And I went to assembling and painting. Now, I've never played it yet. Yeah, you're saying you bought all this stuff and you never played it yet. As you can tell, I'm a big Star Wars fan. But we are going to be playing it this month on Board Game Maniacs. It's going to be probably Brady going to be playing it with me, my son. Because, you know, he's excited about Star Wars. And he picked up Captain Rex, or Commander Rex. And he painted that. As soon as he said, he's like, "Oh, I want him, and I'm going to use him into the game." So, with him, we're going to be doing like a skirmish battle report, and maybe more than one skirmish battle report. And then we're going to be playing like a full 800-point game or close to it as well. So look forward to that onto the Board Game Maniacs YouTube channel. And how can you look forward to that if you're not subscribed yet? Well, go over to Board Game Maniacs on YouTube and click on the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to get notified when the videos are available for viewing, because they're going to be well worth it. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of battling, a lot of epicness. So there you go. You can see I got all of the contrast paint for the blaster painted. Now, what I'm going to do, oh, there's a little spot I missed, a little tiny spot. So let's get that in here. Right there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm just going to leave this set and dry, and while this is drying, we're going to paint while it's drying, because I don't want to touch the rest of the miniature with the other contrast paint while this is drying, that it could interfere with it. But what I'm going to do though is while this is drying, we're just going to paint the binoculars right here, and to paint that we're going to be using lead belcher. So again, the binoculars, I can get them in focus there. There we go. So you can see that we're going to be painting that next. So just stand by. I'm going to grab my lead belcher and we'll start painting those. You can see there I got my lead belcher. I shook it up really good. I'm going to put that to the side here. And we are now going to paint his binoculars. And it's pretty basic what we're doing here. Just try not to get it on his fingers. Some people have painted this with like Rune Fang steel. Some people painted it black. I've seen a lot of people paint it different ways. And I'm just going to be a little different here. And we're just going to be painting. I'm just trying to get the camera in focus a little better. There we go. So yeah, we're just going to be painting it in lead belcher. As careful as possible. One tip that I would like to give, again, I'm not a professional painter for miniatures by no means, but one tip is I like to situate my hand onto a table or a solid surface that does not move when I'm holding the miniature, because that way it helps stabilize my hand more. So that's a little quick tip. Speaking of quick tips, actually, one of the videos that is released, if it's not all released yet, is going to be how I did the base, the sand base. Not painting it up and everything, but just how I created, because I got a lot of emails from people asking me what did I do to get the base done. So I figured instead of just replying to all the emails, well, I did reply regardless, but just so everybody else, if they're interested into it, just to show you exactly how I did my bases, because it's not difficult, it's pretty easy. So just be aware of that. So yeah, my camera's kind of acting a little funny right now. I have to figure out what's going on. So I'll finish this off, look at my camera, make sure the focus is set properly, and I'll be back. So just hold on. Oh, I just dropped my remote. Uh-oh. Okay, so yeah, hold on to your hats. Okay, so the lead belcher is dry. My camera's having issues with doing the focusing, but my camera is fairly old. So, you know, I need to get a new camera. I just have to save up for it because I can't really afford to buy a new camera right away. Which brings me to, if you want to become an official Board Game Maniac sponsor and help me to aid me into getting some new equipment such as a new camera, because I desperately need a new camera for shooting the videos, you can jump over to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs, links in the description, and you can become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs so I can help build up to get a new camera. And that's my spiel about Patreon. All right, so getting back to the painting, next thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the entire base now, and the color we're going to be painting it with is none other than a contrast color from Citadel. It is Skeleton Horde. And these are great little paints, I have to say. I'm really liking them. So easy to use, and they do such a great job. You just got to be careful that you don't get it on somewhere else, just in case, you know, you're putting it when you're priming it to put another color onto it, because it can cause a lot of problems. So for this, all I'm doing is I'm treating it like a wash, and I'm just washing it away. Washing it on, not washing it away. Just like so. Pretty simple. The hardest part is trying to keep the miniature on camera while I'm painting him. I do have to say though, looking back on the first month for painting with a Maniac, and then looking on my second month for painting with the Maniac series, I am definitely improving in the lighting and camera setup, because one thing that I was struggling with the first month was, again, with the camera setting up. I had the camera on manual focus and automatic focus, and it seemed to be having a little bit of problem with it, that at times, a lot of the times for the first month, the painting with the Maniac was out of focus in certain spots. And I apologize for that. Again, my camera is very old, and I'm trying to work onto getting it resolved. But looking at the other painting with the Maniac, the camera's more in focus, the lighting is better. Like, I'm learning, and it's all because of people sending me emails and commenting and letting me know, like, hey, this is what I do for my painting stuff. And, you know, every little bit helps, and I appreciate every bit of it, because without you, we wouldn't be where we are today with Board Game Maniacs. So keep the comments coming, keep the support coming, keep the sharing and everything else coming in, because appreciate it all. Whew. So yeah, just painting away. Not a difficult task at all for this contrast paint. Like I said, the only difficult thing I find is trying to do it so that you don't get it on spots that you don't want it on. But then again, that's like any other kind of paint or wash. But with wash, it's easier to wipe it off. But this here, I'm still new working with the contrast paint, but I'm loving it. And, you know, it's a little more pricier than your other paints, but I totally understand, especially because of what you can do with this kind of contrast paint. It's great. And, you know, I see the great results. If you are watching these videos and following along, I would love to see and hear your thoughts about the contrast paints. Yeah, I love them, or nay, I don't like them, or, you know, yeah, I could do with them or without them, it don't matter. Me, I love them, but if I didn't have them at my disposal, it wouldn't be a total loss, because I would just find other ways of painting. See, just, yeah, that's kind of like my thoughts onto it. And you can see the tone of this is really nice. I love it. especially for the droids. B1 Battle Droids. Really like the tone of this. And I like when we were going to be painting it the other way with the Xandri dust and everything else. I really like it that way too. There's not really any way that I like more than the other. I'm kind of rambling now, but yeah, you know what I mean. I'm being very careful, trying not to paint the lead belcher with this. As careful can be, that I'm not leaving any white exposed. Because I did that before. I kind of missed some of it. See, like underneath his arm here, I totally forgot about it. I'm adding a little bit more in some extra spots. I wanted to pool a little bit in some certain areas. So, you know, that's just the way I roll, yeah. But, as I said, I am not a professional miniature painter by no means. You can take this or leave it, it's up to you. You know, a lot of people I find when they're painting, including myself, is I'll put videos on in the background and just have some background noise while I'm painting. Keep adding more contrast paint when, you know, you don't have to. But I'm just getting it darker down around the leg part, lighter up top. So just like that. It's getting quiet in here. All right, so that's pretty much it. We just got to leave this dry now. Oh, see, I missed the spot right back here. And right back here. So yeah, we'll just leave this dry. I'm just going to give it another once over, see if I missed anything. And then when this is dry, we'll be back and continue on with the next step for painting this. All right, so now it is all dry. And we are going to continue on, and what we're doing now is we're going to be painting the markings onto our droid. You can see it's all dark hair and it gets a little lighter as it goes up. I kind of created a little bit of highlights, but not using any dry brushing or anything. I just, to make it a little darker, I added more of the contrast paint and less as it went up, as I just fix it up a little bit off camera. Not too much. You can see there I kind of missed a little spot, which you're probably going to have to go in and fix, because you can see right there's a little bit of white. So I'll jump and fix that. But first, before I do that, we are going to turn him into the commander. So the commander has a circle on his chest, and the top part of his head is yellow. And the circle on his chest is yellow too as well. We're going to be using Avalon Sunset for that. It's right here, Citadel base. So let's open this baby up and start the painting. Now, don't laugh at my circles. Don't laugh at my circles. Okay, here goes. Oh boy. So it's going to be circle on his chest. That's not a bad circle. It could be a little better. Just like that. Oh, you can tell it's way off. Oh. We brought it a bit more. It's kind of in shadow. Oh, well, that'll do, that'll do. And now we're going to paint his head part, the yellow. So this part, let me get him shot a little better. Right here. Yellow, and then it carries up. And then you paint this part on the back. Some people paint in the middle too as well, but I keep that blank. No yellow on that. I just painted droids like this. Not even on camera. Good job. very quiet in here. Again, I'm just making sure I kind of cover all the bases that I can. There we go. So that's it for the yellow. Not a lot, but by looking at them, you're going to say like, yeah, this is the commander because of the binoculars, but still. Now, the next step we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of Nuln oil and we're just going to add it to his binoculars just to give it a little bit of a wash. And we're still rolling, so let's just grab the Nuln oil here and give it a good shake. And again, this is a shade, Nuln oil. A little bit of it, putting it in there. And all this is just to give it a more of a darker appearance. That's how, bring out the details. Okay, so we're going to leave this dry. We'll be back and we'll continue on with the next step. We're almost done painting him. Very easy to paint. Now that he's all dry, we are going to start throwing some highlights down. And for the highlights, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to highlight the blaster rifle with some lead belcher. So you can see there, lead belcher. We've already used this, but this is going to be a dry brush that we're doing. It's not watered down or anything. It is straight undiluted, but again, it's going to be dry brushed. So I'm just taking a little bit on my brush and I'm wiping off to have just a little bit on. Take it to the side. You already see that it does have some kind of highlights because of the contrast paint that was put on. So we're just gently rubbing it over just to give it a little bit. Same with right there. Now another thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding a little bit of battle damage here and there to him. So we're going to dry brush just a little bit, like on his head too as well. Just did some spots there. And his arms, a little bit on his leg. We're not going like overboard with this. We are going to be painting some battle damage onto him, as in like with the lead belcher, and highlighting a little bit of like I keep saying like with some Storm Host Silver. Yeah, that's it, Storm Host Silver. So that's the lead belcher that we're putting on. Now, before we do any like more of the battle damage, we are going to do a total highlight onto all of the like tan color, I guess you want to call it, with Longbeard Gray. Everybody knows that's been watching this and following along with other Painting with the Maniac episodes. My Longbeard Gray is kind of like my go-to for highlighting. I love it. So just grab a little bit of Longbeard Gray out on my brush, wipe it off. It is a dry. And we're just going to dry brush all of him, just the raised areas. Even onto his binoculars a bit. So you can see there, just wipe that off a little bit. It already looks like he's got a little bit of battle damage. See it, just going over it, just gently here and there, carefully. Just to bring it, kind of highlight it in some spots. Battle damage on him and everything already. I'm liking that. Okay, so that was with the Longbeard Gray. Now we're just going to add a couple little pieces of battle damage here and there onto him. And since we already did here and there with the lead belcher, we're going to jump over to the Storm Host Silver. And we're just going to paint on a couple of that battle damage parts on him. So again, Storm Host Silver. Open this up a bit. Open this up. Putting a little bit on my dry brush that I use, because it is more of like a fan brush, getting rid of the excess. But with this, I'm not going to dry brush and just dabbing here and there onto him over top. You can see there, he's a commander for a reason. A little bit on top of the head too. Back. don't want to go crazy with it, but I like a lot of battle damage. As you can see right there, he's been, look like he's been drugged by a tank or something. So I like that. I'm liking it a lot. So now we're going to take a smaller brush with the same Stormhost Silver. We're just going to draw a couple of lines onto his body. So let's give him a little bit like right here. You know, it just kind of damage him up a bit. Just very subtle. It's nothing too drastic. A little bit more on my brush. There we go. That's what I want. Just like that. Okay. Got some pretty good dings on them. I think that's good for the battle damage. Maybe a little bit more right here. Just a little bit. There. I'm happy with that. All right. So battle damage is done. Highlighting is done. Everything else is done. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the base. And then we're just going to say this guy is done. We're happy with him, and we're going to jump to the other one, which is with the Xandri dust. For painting the base, we're going to first do the base coat on the sand, and we are going to be using Mornfang Brown, Citadel Line. It's a base. So pretty much, I'm just going to actually get my stand here, miniature stand, hold it up, some water on it. All right, so Mornfang Brown. You just got to be careful that you don't put it on his feet. You can add mud to it, if that's what you want to do. So I'm just taking my time, just so I don't make the mistake of getting it on his feet. Just like that, pretty easy. So I'm just gonna finish painting all of this, and when it's dry, we'll be back to put on the wash or the shade. Little confession to make here. When I painted the base, I realized I used the wrong base color. So it's the same process, but I painted over with the proper color, and it was Steel Legion Drab was what I should have painted it with, because if you look at the base onto this, it's matching better. But in either case, you learn and you move on. So yeah, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Agrax Earth Shade, and I'm just going to do a wash on the base itself. So again, Agrax Earth Shade, and just open this up. And we're just going to wash it. Washy, washy. And just like before, you want to try to avoid getting it on the feet. Unless you're going for that look, then do it. Go for it. Just do it. Just do it. If not, just, you know, you gotta be careful here. So just like so, it's got the wash all on. And I was off camera like halfway the whole time. Yay! That's what I get for not looking at my monitor. Anyhow, there we go. So we're going to leave that dry, and when we come back, we're going to throw the highlighting on it and some grass, and we're going to call that one, and then the rim, obviously, too, as well. And then we're going to call it Done Diddly On. But anyhow, I'll be back when that's dry. Now that the wash is dry, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start dry brushing onto the base, and we are going to be using Talon Sand. I'm not even on camera. There we go. Talon Sand, first off, and that's what we're going to dry brush the first part of the base with. So just give this paint a little bit of a shake. It's been sitting for a bit. All right. Now we got to do some dry brushing on it. grab the brush. Just get a little bit left onto it. And then just giving it some gentle, very careful dry brush. Just like that. Pretty easy. And we're going to clean off our dry brush, and we are going to actually do another dry brush color on top of that. And I'm just drying this off. And it's our favorite Longbeard Gray. Longbeard Gray. That's what we're doing. I think this is my go-to dry brush color. Not that, you know, you can't use any other colors or anything like that, but this is kind of what I like using the most, I guess. Again, just going over gently here. I got a little bit on this foot. There we go. And the edging. Just like so. I'm happy with that. Now there's two other things we are going to do, and that is we are going to be gluing a tuft of grass, and then we're going to be painting the rim. So the tuft of grass that we're using, the same kind that we use all the time. It is swamp, turf, or tuff. There it is, it's 77 tufts into it, that's the color. So we're going to be using that onto it. And just a wee bit of super glue. Whoops, I just dropped my packaging. You can hear all this shuffling around while you're just seeing nothing on camera here. There we go. So I got my handy dandy tweezers. And I'm just pulling one off and grabbing some super glue here. And I'm using Army Painter super glue. And we just drop a little dab of glue onto it. And we just put it wherever we want. And right there. It's a good place to throw that on. Pretty easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. All right, now the last step is we're going to be painting the base. And this is part of a specific squad. So you can see this squad here. He's got the blue rim. So we're gonna paint the rim blue onto him. So let's take him off the base, or the miniature holder. Grab the blue, and the blue we're using is Calidor Sky. Calidor Sky. So shakety shake shake. Undilute it. I'm grabbing my handy dandy paintbrush and just painting around this. I notice a lot of miniature painters that when they do that, they paint the base, during their base black. It looks very nice, clean, professional. What I like to do with mine for when I'm playing, I learned this when I was playing Bolt Action a while ago, and that is when you have a lot of miniatures on the board, sometimes you can't distinguish between them all. So what I like to do is I'll paint my units a specific base color, and that way I know what miniatures are mine just at a glance, because I'm like, oh, they're blue, so the base color, that one's mine. And that's what I like doing. Just like so. And that pretty much finishes off this version of the B1 Battle Droid Commander. So what we're going to do now is we are going to jump over and paint the other one without using contrast colors. And again, this is more like, I was told, more like the video game, not the video game, the animated series, Battle Droids. And the other ones are actually more like from the movies. So anyhow, we're going to start painting him next to show you the difference into the way we do it. The first thing I did is I primed this one with Xandri dust. And again, just completely over, and I did over the sand because the sand was done. And you can see it here, but there's some black splotches over it. And if I turn it around, you can see there's black here too as well. So what I did is I took my airbrush with just some black primer and I sprayed it at an angle. So it's kind of like an upward angle to try to get like all the underside of it to create some kind of shadow effect. It's a little bit like Xandri dust, what I'm doing, but hey, that's just what I did. And then we're going to just keep continuing on. So this is going to be painted a little differently. Now he's going to be painted silver, not him, but his backpack. And this here, the blaster, is going to be painted with Abaddon black, or we can also still use the contrast black Templar paint, which I think we're going to do. So lead belcher for the binoculars, the contrast black Templar for the blaster, and we're also going to paint the base before we do any kind of wash onto that. So let's start with the blaster first. I pointed to the binoculars and I said blaster. Let's paint the blaster first. You know, when I said we were going to be painting with no contrast colors, I lied. Just because we are just going to paint the blaster the same way that we painted it into the other one, which is by using a contrast black Templar paint. Just going to grab my paintbrush here. And you want to make sure you give it a good shake beforehand because, like I said, all the sediment will just sit on the bottom, and we really don't want that. So here we go, just painting it just like we did for the other one. No difference. For the longest time, I thought that when you were painting with contrast paint, that you need to have the base primed with white. Because that's what people had told me to as well. But then I researched it and I just tried it just for giggles. And you can use this contrast paint on a lot of paint, different colors, over top of different colors. But it will yield different results, so just be aware of that. So yeah, nothing special here, just keep painting that. So when that's all done, we'll be back and we'll on to the next color. Same as the first note we painted, we're going to be painting the binoculars with the lead belcher. Don't have to show you the paint because you know that that is the same color because I'm saying it's the same color and you know what it looks like, and read it onto the paint pot. Yeah, exact same thing, nothing different. You could paint it differently if you wanted to. It's totally up to your discretion. Yeah, I'm kind of off camera there, but I'll be back. I'm just going to finish painting that. And then we'll move on to probably the yellow for the chest piece in his head. Onto the chest piece again. My camera just kind of did a funny beep there. And we're using the same color that we did before, the Everland Sunset. And painting a circle on his chest. Again, don't laugh at my circles. Because you know I don't know how to paint circles. Properly, that is. That's good enough. All right, and then on top of his head too as well with the yellow. It'd be better if I get it on camera. So nothing new, it's all the same. Remember, we leave the middle part out. That's just my own decision. being different. Just like that. So we'll let that dry and we'll be back with the next step. The yellow is all dry, so we're going to go on to the shading part, or the wash, whatever you want to name it. But we're doing two different color washes. For the droid itself, we are going to be using Seraphim Sepia. And for the base, we're going to be using Agrax Earthshade. So let's do the Seraphim Sepia first. So just open that up, gave it a good shake. Now, some of this is going to bleed down through, which, you know, it's normal. The wash is going to do that. All right. And we're going to go over like the gun, the blaster, pretty much everything on the miniature itself, even the binoculars there. And the feet. Sure we got it all. Just like so. Just a little spot here and there, but I got it all. All right, gonna clean our brush. Now we're grabbing the Agrax Earthshade to do the base. Now you notice on this one that I never did put the Steel Legion drab onto it, and the reason why is because the Steel Legion drab is very close to what the base color is already. You can go ahead and paint it with Steel Legion drab or whatever one you want, but I kind of just left it like this, and now I'm just taking some of the Agrax Earthshade too as well and just painting it on the bottom part of his legs while the wash is still wet. You can see there. And we just leave that dry. And when that's dry, we'll be back and do our highlighting. Now that the wash is all dry, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the highlighting now. And we're going to start off with doing the droid highlight. And it has two different colors that we're going to highlight with. And the first color is going to be Talon Sand, to throw some highlight onto him. And the way we highlight this is we're just going to dry brush it. We're going to keep it simple, not trying to win any awards or anything. It's just getting it tabletop ready so that when we play, then they look painted. Not look painted, but they are painted. So dry brushing again, just going over gently the spots. See there, grab a little bit more. You better open up the lid a little better. There we go. Now we're good. All right. Back to doing some dry brush. We want to try to avoid getting it on the blaster. You can see the back where it's got where I sprayed the black onto it, that it looks nice and shaded. I try to want to keep that want to try to keep that. I'm back in talkwords again here. There we go. Do a little bit onto his antenna. Forwarding the yellow too as well. So there's for that highlight. And since we're at it, we're going to highlight the base with this color because we were going to do it anyhow. So same thing, just dry brush. Pressed a little too hard right there. Well, we're going to fix that right now. Just taking a brush. Nothing that we can't fix. There we go. Continuing with highlighting the base. Just like so. Now we're going to go on to the next color for the highlight for the dry brush. And can anybody guess what that is? Yep, you're right. Longbeard gray, my favorite. So we'll open that up. Get some on my brush. And let's see, let's start on the side there. And this one we're doing even less of a highlight. Going over very gently. There we go. I like it. All right. So next thing we're going to do is we are going to highlight the base too with just a little bit of the Longbeard gray too. Again, just very gently. Like this. All right. We still got to put a piece of tuft of grass, and you can see where this part here is lifted. So we're going to put the tuft of grass right there just to hide it, or we can paint it over. But we're just going to put the tuft of grass there, and we're also going to paint the rim too as well. So just stand by for that. We're going to paint the rim of the base. You can see I already added the tufts of grass because there's no technical thing for that. Just super glue, pair of tweezers, tufts of grass. We're going to paint the rim, and I'm not going to record that part too as well. But this rim is a different color because, again, I'm breaking this up as in squads. We're using Cabalite green, and we're going to paint around that. And once that is finished, we'll be back for the closing of this video. There we have it. We have the rim painted and the turf of grass that was put onto it. So you can see him here. Really nice. I like the way he turned out. I'm a fan of the darker than the lighter, but to each his own. So that is one that I painted already. So you can see it matches up really well. Same color basis and everything onto it. The highlighting and that. But let's just do a closer comparison between the two that we just painted. So the darker one is on the left. So you can clearly see there is a difference here. We didn't really put too much battle damage on the darker one, We could do it if we want, but where we did the Longbeard Gray, it kind of is throwing it off that it looks like there's some battle damage onto it. So you can see again, people compared this one to the animated series and this one to the movies. Do a little turn here and there for you. Severely battle damage, so like that. And different color rims for the bases so that we know exactly, you know, who we are or what squad they're belonging to. So there's that, and there's the other one there. Just place it beside, and the security droid right there. And that's it, Board Game Maniacs. I hope you enjoyed this painting along with the Maniac episode where you just sat and watched or listened to me while I painted the B1 Battle Droid Commanders, which are the two in the middle here that you can see. It was a lot of fun. I like painting these. They're very simple to paint. They're enjoyable. And you can get a lot of battle damage onto this if you want. I really do like the look of them. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this this video in general, like the painting wise, as well as the audio and the video and the lighting setup, you name it. Just comment and let me know. And don't forget to click on subscribe and bell notification if you haven't already. Get notified when videos like this become available. And we're getting close to hitting our next milestone mark that we're going to be giving away a Board Game Maniacs hoodie and possibly a board game with it. And the only way to be entered into that is you need to be subscribed to Board Game Maniacs. So if you haven't subscribed, like I said, until next time, Board Game Maniacs, play some games, play some Star Wars Legion, paint some miniatures, build some terrain, play some VR, just have fun and talk to people, because communication is key in any type of relationship. So until then, Board Game Maniacs, you know what I'm going to say, and that is, be a maniac. I'll see you next video. Boo! Hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to keep up to date with Board Game Maniacs, click on the like and subscribe button to be notified when more videos come available. If you want to become an official sponsor of Board Game Maniacs, go to patreon.com/BoardGameManiacs. Or you can go to streamlabs.com/BoardGameManiacs1. That's right, and you can donate to help keep the lights on, keep food in our bellies, and play more games. We'll purchase more games, more equipment to make Board Game Maniacs evolve and get bigger and larger. Because of you, the viewers, I thank you from the bottom of my toes to the top of my head for all of your support. And until next time, Board Game Maniacs, be a maniac.